Hey everyone, and welcome to Science in Real Time, a podcast produced by Araceli Biosciences. I am your host, Carli Reyes, and I couldn't be more excited to launch this podcast with you. This is our very first episode, the one where we set the tone, share what the show is all about, and give you a peek into what you can expect each week. So, let's start with the why. Why this podcast and why now? For me, it really comes down to a simple but powerful belief. Science is most impactful when it's shared in real time, not just when the paper drops or the press releases go out, but when it's still unfolding, exciting, uncertain, and innovative. That's what the show is here to capture. But before we dive into what's ahead, I do want to share a little bit about myself and how I got here. My path to Araceli started with a deep curiosity about how things work and an even deeper drive to make science accessible. I hold a master's degree in biomedical sciences from Northwestern University, and my background spans microscopy, drug discovery, and therapeutic development. Along the way, I've also worked in academic labs, industry settings, and even in the science policy space, all with the overarching goal of understanding how discoveries move from the bench to the real world. I've also conducted research to study T regulatory cells, build science communication strategies for biotech companies, and produce content that translates very complex data into stories that actually stick. Now, at Araceli, I lead science-first storytelling using platforms like this one to elevate the voices and the breakthroughs that are shaping the future of biotech. But this podcast isn't just about platforms or tools. It's really about the people and the stories behind the science. We aren't here just to broadcast technologies that are novel and new. We're here to amplify the ideas, the questions, the decisions that drive it forward. That's what makes science in real time different. That's what makes it human. So, at its core, Science in Real Time is a digital lab notebook, open access, conversational, and grounded in what's actually happening right now across biotech and drug discovery. It's where we go beyond the headlines to understand the mechanisms, strategies, and the insights that are accelerating science, from the molecules to the market. Here's how we've designed it. Each month, you're going to get a mix of solo and guest episodes that follow an intentional rhythm. 3 of those episodes will be solo segments where I will be guiding you through recurring themes. The first theme is called BioScope, basically your weekly lens on biotech breakthroughs. We'll cover 3 to 5 of the biggest stories shaping the field. Everything from AI screening tools to new models and even high content imaging insights. The second segment would be called Funding Focus, which would be a closer look at the business behind biotech. Here, we're going to be breaking down the deals, the funding rounds, and the investment trends that shape which technologies get built and why. And finally, our last solo segment titled Molecule Talk, where we dig into the biology behind the buzz. So think of it as a short, punchy, deep dive into the mechanism, processes, or targets behind today's breakthroughs, always framed in the context of drug discovery and real-world application. And then, once a month, we'll have a spotlight episode where we'll have a special guest, somebody who's moving the needle in real time. These are the scientists, the platform builders, or innovators who are pushing discovery forward in smarter and faster ways. This podcast will serve as a platform to showcase real science, solving real problems, and the people making it happen. So, what kind of stories can you expect? We'll hear about high-content imaging tools that are helping researchers spot subtle phenotypes in massive datasets. You'll hear how CROs are evolving to meet the demands of modern drug development. And you'll hear how AI and automation are changing the pace and the precision of therapeutic discoveries. And most importantly, You will hear how scientists are making decisions in real time, shaping not just what gets discovered, but how it gets discovered. Because the truth is, science doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in conversations, in data sprints, in late night lab notes, in failed experiments, and unexpected insights. And too often, those moments are left out of the final story. And that's what we're here to change. Whether you're a bench scientist, a biotech founder, a data scientist, a postdoc, or just a curious thinker, this podcast is for you. If you're someone who's accelerating discovery, or if you know somebody whose work deserves to be heard, we want to hear from you. Reach out on our website or connect with us on LinkedIn to nominate a guest or pitch for an episode idea. So, that's the vision. Science in Real Time, our digital lab notebook. It's open, it's evolving, and it's rooted in curiosity. And this season, we're going to take you inside the discovery loop to meet the researchers, the tools, and the workflows that are changing the pace of science in the real world. Thank you for being here for the very first episode of Science in Real Time. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe and share the show with someone who's as curious about this space as you are. Let's build this together. Let's document the journey. Welcome to Science in Real Time.